What's up guys, Manila the God here. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of Roblox games that some of you might remember for a few years ago when they were popular on the platform. Before we get into this video, I'd like to apologize for my lack of uploading. The reason I've been posting a lot of shit posts lately is because I've had a lot of time off my hands lately, like schoolwork, girlfriend problems, etc. But that's besides the point. Before we get in, I'd like to also kindly ask you guys to like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content. Now let's get into the video. So this first game we'll be looking at is a game called Fart Attack. Yes, this is a real game on Roblox. The game looks like it would be the absolute pinnacle of peak child humor, as the game itself literally consists of farting and pooping on other players in order to kill them. As stupid as this sounds, this game is actually really funny and competitive, and many PvP players will enjoy it. The game used to be pretty popular on the platform back in 2018 and 2019 when updates were still present, but sadly there hasn't been an update in about 4 or 5 years. If you played around this time, you might have remembered playing this game or seeing it on the Discover page. Hell, you might even be one of the rare players that still plays this game. The reason why this game is so underrated is likely due to the fact that the game no longer receives updates, and because playing it for a while can get boring and repetitive. Basically how the game works is, you have to collect beans in order to power your fart meter. The more beans you collect, the larger and more powerful you become. Kill as many players as possible to win a spot on the leaderboard at the end of the round. That might sound a little boring and get boring quickly, but don't worry. Every time you collect a can of beans, you also power your special meter by 2. Once you reach enough power, you can use your special abilities, which consist of things like Hookano, Fartnado, and even Crop Duster. Yes. Did I mention there are also boss fights? Yeah, there's, whatever this is. So would I recommend Fart Attack? Yeah, I'd definitely recommend Fart Attack. I'm gonna give this game a 7.5 out of 10. It's not quite up there anymore because it's an older game and it fell off. I used to play it all the time. I'm like level 200 something. But the game, it gets repetitive, and in the end, you just don't want to play it anymore, especially if it's just the same thing over and over. But if you guys want to try it out, definitely go do that. It's in the description right now. Just go on and play it. The next game we'll be looking at is called Stop It Slender. This is definitely one of the older ones on the platform, being created in 2010. Wow, so that means the game turns 14 this year. That's crazy. It's crazy to think that there's a game that's 14 years old on Roblox that's still kicking. I mean, natural disaster, but that's even older. That's like 16 years. But anyway, that's natural disaster is not the point. Let's get into Stop It Slender. So Stop It Slender is basically a game that it's based off of the Slenderman creepypasta, where you can either be a survivor who has to collect pages and survive from Slender, or you can be Slender who has to kill all the survivors before they can collect all 8 pages. The game is pretty fun, and it used to be a lot more popular back when I first started Roblox in 2017. And it was a lot more popular around then when the game was still actually receiving updates, but since then it has ceased to update for a while. Now, it's rare to find almost anyone play the game at all, and you'll only get a full server only once in a while because not very many people play it anymore. One of the main problems is probably because the game gets a little toxic, especially because I feel that being Slender is a lot more unfair than being a survivor, unless you have perks, but then again, no one really buys perks, so. Anyway, the game is pretty nice. Overall, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. There are definitely a lot of flaws that come with it, but overall, it's a pretty good game. One of the main issues I see with it is the balancing, because Slender can almost instantly kill someone once the timer has almost run out, and that just makes it really unfair to most players. If you're one of the older players who remembers playing this game, you'll definitely find this lobby a bit nostalgic. The one I'm standing in right now, of course. You'll also probably remember this little Easter egg in the section of the lobby where you can see Slender through the crack in the wall. I always liked that Easter egg. When I was younger, it actually used to scare me a little bit. So yeah, Stop It Slender is a pretty old game on Roblox, and it's sad to see that nobody plays it anymore. If you guys want to play it, I'll link it in the description with all the other games as well, as this game could really use a little kick up again. There's only about 20 active players whenever I even see anyone play it, so yeah, we could definitely use this game a revival. Now this next game is definitely a bit different than the ones we've covered so far, as you'll often see a bunch of different types of these games covered throughout Roblox, but I'd like to explain why this one actually appeared on this list. So the next game we're covering is called Horror Tycoon. Now I'm sure a bunch of you will probably remember this one off the catalog, well, not the catalog, but you'll probably often remember this one off of the Discover page or whatever back during 2018, 2019, 2017 when it was popular, but it's been updated a lot recently to where it's a lot different, and that's probably what made it lose its player base, because the updates kind of ruined it. But basically, here's what the game is about. The game is about where, as like all Tycoon games, you start off building your little factory, I guess, producing money which you can use to upgrade your factory and buy weapons to fight other players. Typical Tycoon game, right? Well, in the original days of this game, when this game used to get 11,000, 12,000 players, because I remember playing it at this time, it was a very popular game, it was completely different. And it would go through several different update phases, starting off as a basic Tycoon, transforming into a really custom, interesting Tycoon, where there would be haunted houses as your Tycoon. Then they switched it back to regular, and now all Tycoons just look the same and have, like, the most boring weapons that aren't even associated with the character. An example is, I mean, look at this. I literally selected Granny as my character, so why is the game giving me a laser gun and a mallet? I'm pretty sure Granny doesn't use any of them. But anyway, Horror Tycoon was one of those games that was popular, but then dipped, because now it's just filled to the brim with bots or foreign players who don't understand why it's not a good game anymore. Horror Tycoon definitely fell off on the roster, and it used to be one of my favorite games, but now it's definitely nowhere near that anymore. It's just a basic bot game. So yeah, Horror Tycoon fell off. I'd give this game probably a 3 out of 10, because back in the old days, the game was a lot better and more creative. You could actually become like the characters and use different weapons, some of them even associated with the characters a bit. Like Granny used to have a flying broom, Slenderman had this scythe, Bendy had like this wormhole thing. It was pretty cool. I liked playing it back then, but nowadays it's really bad, so I don't recommend it. If you do want to play it though, I'll link it in the description, and yeah, that's all for Horror Tycoon. Let's move on to the fourth and final game, which is not actually an old game. You won't remember this one at all if you haven't played it yet, because it's brand new, and let me explain why. So the final game we'll be covering is actually a brand new game, and it's not an old Roblox game at all, so many of you might not even know about it, because you can't remember it if it was only created about 3 months ago. So this Roblox game is called Skenons. It's basically a racing game where you be Thomas the Tank Engine, though, of course, due to copyright limitations, they're just called Skenons. In the game, there are multiple different fun maps you can race on, and since the game is piloted by Cheetah Man, who is also the creator of the Fabulous Bear franchise, of course he's going to add Bear into his game, which just makes it a whole lot better in my opinion. But basically how this game works is, it's basically just Mario Kart, but you're playing as Thomas the Tank Engine, and that's just terrific. Like, that's just beautiful. Now, this game, you'd think that it would be getting a lot of players, right? Like, racing games, they might not be the most popular games, but you'd think it would be getting quite a bit of players since it's such a cool and interactive game, right? Unfortunately, no. Most of the daily active players range from about 10 to, I'd say, 50, is how much you'll see most of the time, is in between 10 to 50 active players. It's an extremely dead game, unfortunately, and I'm pretty sure it's because, well, nobody really likes racing games nowadays. It's more competitive PvP, which it is, but the main problem with Skenons is it's more of a luck-based racing game. As once you've played the maps multiple times, you'll memorize them and you'll know how to race on them, but it's mainly just the luck with the items you get, because you could get first place instantly if you get, an example being 3 hot sauces, which hot sauces are basically just the mushrooms from Mario Kart. They give you a speed boost, and if you get 3 of those, say 2 times, you can instantly get from like 9th place to 1st place, because it's mainly luck in the game. except for maps like Moonstroll, of course, which require skill. But overall, Skenons is a really, really good game, and I wish it would be more popular. So if any of you guys watching like racing games and you haven't heard of this epic game, go try it. I definitely recommend this game. It's definitely a 9 out of 10 game out of any other games on this list. My favorite out of all of them that I've covered so far. Not only can you race, but you can also customize your Skenjon too, from various faces, hats, wallpapers, all sorts of stuff. It's really interesting and cool, and the currency in the game is brownies. Yeah, you literally purchase stuff with brownies, which just makes it better. And you could say I'm a bit of an addict because, I mean, just look at this. So would I recommend this game? Yep, absolutely, especially for you racing fans out there. Skenjons is a beautiful game, and you will definitely like this game. Although it is more luck-based, skill does take place at its moments, especially when you're firing missiles. You have to have very good accuracy. So if you guys like racing, go check the description right now because Skenjons is in the description. Anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment if you'd like to see me do more of this stuff, because it's actually really fun and I like doing it. If you guys played any of these games, make sure to comment if you did and tell me how much you liked them. If you guys like Skenjons, definitely go check it out, because I am strongly encouraging you play this game. Anyways, this has been Manila, and I'm out. Peace.